Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is Monday, September 13th, and it is time for another episode of Let There Be Talk, brought to you by my podcast network, Cactus Radio Network. You can find all of my podcasts at cactusradionetwork.com, including Let There Be Talk, The Grail, Dark Fonzie, and At Home with Byron Katie. I really appreciate all of your support on the network here. It's been a lot of hard work, but definitely worth it. Today, I have somebody that is very, very special to me on the show, Mr. Jerry Cantrell. This man's music has been in my life since, 91 or 2, whenever I first heard the 4-song little sampler that was sent to me from Concrete Convention. It was like, wow, what's this? Man in the Box. Totally changed my life. Then the Dirt record. I can't even tell you how many times I spun the Dirt record, even all the way to yesterday. And then the Three-Legged Dog record. Underrated record, that record, man. The Three-Legged Dog record is unreal. This man has wrote some of the greatest riffs and some of the greatest songs in my lifetime. And I cannot thank Jerry enough for his friendship and coming on the show again. And I also want to give a shout out to Dane Cook, who nudged me and said, man, we got to get him back on there, and made it happen. Jerry's got a brand new solo record coming out, and it is fantastic. It comes out October 29th. It's called Brighten, and the brand new video for the title track just dropped on Friday. You can see that on YouTube, and this man has a cast of crushing players on this record. On the drums, Abe Laboriel Jr., who's been grooving with Paul McCartney for over 20 years. Also, Gil Sharon played some drums. Duff McKagan on bass. You might have heard of him, huh? Joe Barresi, Evil Joe, doing some mixing on this. Oh, Evil Joe was a great episode here not too long ago. I'm telling you, this record is a smasher. The cover is beautiful. The videos are great. The first song that I heard, Atone, just blows my mind. And there's all kinds of flavors on this record, which are great. Lola Bates, little background vocals. Michael Rosen, pedal steel. Vincent Jones rocking the keys. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Make sure you get it. Also, we sit down and talk about his brand new signature Les Paul that just came out, Wino. So great conversation with Jerry. I love this man, and I still cannot believe I got to tour with this band a few years ago. It was a dream come true. Before I get into the episode, I want to thank everybody that came to see me at La Jolla Comedy Store over the weekend. Damn, it felt good. It felt good. I'm starting to feel the dust has shaken off, and I'm seeing these bits grow and come to life, and I'm loving where it's at right now. So I'm looking forward to some more tour dates. They're all on DeanDelRey.com. Go check it out. I'm going to be in Denver, Seattle, Portland, Bend, Oregon, San Jose, Des Moines, Iowa, and a few other cities. Dive into the website and check out the merch page too. We just refreshed up some more merch. It was all sold out. It's back up there. We got the Dark Fonzie black t-shirt. We got the Perry Shaw Dean Del Rey shirt up there. The Gertie shirts. It's all there. Merch, tour dates, all on the website, DeanDelRey.com. This episode is brought to you by my fantastic sponsor. I know a lot of you out there are guitar players listening today. Get yourself some CBD Lion. If you've got some joint ache or anxiety, any kind of body aches, the CBD works great. You having problems sleeping? Get yourself some CBD Lion. These guys are the leaders in CBD. I use the lotions and the roll-ons every day. I love the pet tinctures for my dog Gertie. Give her a little chill oil, and the pet treats. It is 100% third-party tested. Use the code DEAN for 20% off. This is great. Use the code DEAN. Get some CBD. Don't get that truck stop bullshit. This is clean, family-owned business. They are the leaders. Bath bombs, soft gel tablets, lotions, gummies, tinctures, sports tapes. They've got it all. CBDlion.com. Use the code DEAN. All right. Hopefully I'll see you guys at some shows out there on the highway, on the road. Hope to see you guys. Also, I do want to give you guys one more heads up. If you want to win a free leather jacket, there's no catch here. Go to standardandstrange.com/Dean and jot in your email there. We're going to be giving away a leather jacket September 30th on Instagram Live. Check it out. Do not sleep on this. It's going to be great. Standardandstrange.com/Dean. Win one of these Y2 leathers. You've seen me wear one of their jackets on Instagram. I absolutely love it. There's no catch here. They're not going to sell your info, any of that shit. Go there. Also, support a fantastic business. Neil and Jeremy are absolutely next level in some of my favorite clothing brands. You can find it all at standardandstrange.com/Dean. Win a leather. How are you going to lose there? How are you going to lose? You're not. All right, let's get into it. Let's get the candles lit right now. Let's bring him on, the riff god himself, Mr. Jerry Cantrell. Oh, shit. Look who's at the crib today. I love you, dude.
Good to see you, man.
Whenever I see you, man, I get goosebumps.
I got to get my shades on so we're properly
yeah. You got the fucking Jacques Marie Mages. Shit. It's so funny.
I was going for that Hugh Grant tone in The Gentleman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm such an eyewear freak, you know? It's crazy. It's like, I've loved it all my life, you know? And that's one thing I always loved about you. Like, I was looking at the new video, and you got the dope leather bells and stuff. You always had killer clothes also. It's such a great thing. Rock and roll fashion. I mean, Jimmy Page dragon pants is all we got to say.
I think we talked about that
last time. Right, exactly. So when you walked in with the glasses, I was like, oh, yeah.
We shop at the same place. Got style.
You know, the last time I saw you and I were at Mr. Bungle at the Fonda, and I remember this like it was fucking yesterday. We're in the front there talking for a minute, and you go, what's going on? And I go, yeah, man, I'm not feeling that good. I've been sick for like a month. And you go, same here. What do you got? And I go, I got like this cough.
Yep.
I can't get rid of it.
I remember that.
Dude,
I was sick for a month.
It was fucking unreal.
Yeah.
And I tell people that was COVID, you know, like, because then Lombardo 2 days later had fierce COVID.
Yep.
And on the tour, none of us knew at the time.
Sure.
Isn't that wild?
I think some of that was probably.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to my doctor like right at the beginning of when this thing was kind of kicking off. Cases started showing up in December, and we started seeing what's going on around the world. And I was talking to Gary, and he's like, besides this is the worst respiratory year I've seen in 10 or 15 years, just for respiratory infections and colds and flus. So I took an antibody test a few months after I was sick, you know, when it became, you know, in March, I guess, when it really, hey, this is happening, you know, and I was negative for it. So I it could be some of that for sure.
Right.
But there's also, it was also really like a really bad year, you know, just in general for respiratory illnesses.
It was wild because we were we had the exact same thing.
I knew a ton of people who had the same symptoms though. Like I got sick. I was really sick for a couple weeks, really crapped up in my lungs, and then I felt better, and then I went right back into a whole another week or two of feeling like crap and reactivated sickness. So
that's the same thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
And also at the time, though, the antibodies test, which I don't even know how you could call it a test, was only 38% accurate.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, that's not a test.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Sure. Well, we're just trying to figure it out. You know, I mean, it's something else, man. I mean, you know, it's a new thing in the environment. We're all going to have to learn to live with it, and you know, it's definitely impacted everybody. You know, and we're just going to have to navigate it.
Yeah, you know, the really wild thing, I thought about it as you were coming over today, and I was thinking about, like, back in the day, you write some hit songs and you get the mailbox money. You get the royalties and stuff. Then that went away because of illegal downloading and everything. And then it became your only money was from touring.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it today, and rest in peace, Charlie Watts, because he passed away today. It was just brutal.
Just heard that a few hours ago.
Yeah. But I started thinking about it. You could be a guy like Frank Marino, for instance, who recently had to just stop touring. We don't know. He has some ailment. Mm-hmm. And then all your money's gone as a musician. It's like being a contractor, a construction guy. These guys work all their lives, or NFL. At least the NFL has a great retirement. But your body doesn't work anymore. Now you can't tour, or there's a pandemic. And
there's not too much rock and roll old folks home or retirement plans.
I know, right? So it's scary, man. It's wild just thinking about that, because you've been in the biz and all your life pretty much.
The last couple of years, I think of all the crew. I think of all the venue owners, the small club folks, and
the merch makers,
all of that. There's a ton of connected people that it's really affected adversely. Luckily we're in the boat where we've been okay being able to sit for a couple of years, and because we've done well enough, but not being able to work is a real deal. And it's nice to see everybody kind of heading in the right direction. And I think we're gonna see some starts and stops, and we're still not out of the woods yet. But it's good to see it heading in a good direction. But it's a job. You never got into this job for security anyway.
No. It's just rock and roll, man.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the job description. I think that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I know, right? I got to thank you right now, face to face, for one of the greatest times of my life was touring with Alice in Chains a few years ago. Being able to open for you guys as a comedian. I still think about that. If I never did anything again, I was like, well, I got passed at the Comedy Store in the Cellar and I toured with Alice in Chains. I'm good to go, But it was a magic run, and I had a great time.
Oh, we loved having you out, man. You did really well. We've actually over the years had a few friends of ours that are comics and have brought him out on the road to open up and do a set, and I've got to say you were the best at it. You're a very rock and roll ethos kind of dude, and not that the others weren't, but just you related really well to the crowd, and they responded great to you.
It was. I remember we were doing the Trump Hotel.
Oh my God!
We pulled
what
up.
A shithole.
Yeah, well, we pulled up and we had no idea. There was, we get in there and they go, well, we're basically, the place is on strike. There's no employees. So here's some room keys. Try to find a clean one. Yeah. And we were like texting each other like, there's people in my room, whatever. Yeah. But I'll never forget.
The windows were so dirty, I couldn't even see out of them. There was like stains on the carpet. There was instead of like regular furniture, it was like patio furniture.
Yeah, it was like wicker furniture. Remember that?
It was horrible. I think the water even came out yellow.
It was gross.
Was sick. Yeah.
I remember the crazy thing, though. We were backstage, and I found the tour manager, and I said, it was like 5 minutes to 8, and I go, there's no one in the venue. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah, there's no one in there. And we ran out, and they go, well, there's no one to open the doors. We're like, what is going on here? So they open the doors, and they go, but you got to go on now. We got to stay in time. So I was on stage as people were just walking in. It was like, oh, they're doing sound checks still, I guess. Like I was the roadie up there. But I got the best photo from that gig. I use it all the time.
It was a pretty big room, if I remember correctly.
It was huge. It was sold out. But while I was on, it was,
Yeah.
But it was fun as shit. Yeah. It was great. Well, here we are, man, and I want to let everybody know that you did the podcast before, so I don't want people to go like, you didn't ask some shit about blah, blah. Jerry did it a few years ago on the tour bus. We were riding somewhere. Or no, we did backstage at one of the gigs.
I think it was at the Trump, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was backstage at the Trump.
Yeah. They closed, by the way, the next day. It closed the next day. I'm just letting people know. It looked like Scooby-Doo Haunted Hotel.
And it needed to.
Yeah.
It needed to. It was in bad shape. But
here we are, and, you've got a solo record coming out, and I want to give a shout out. Dane Cook hits me right away. He's like, dude, you hear the new Jerry? I go, I got to check it out right now because it just came out in the morning that day. I put it on, and I was like, wow, this is just fucking classic. And when you think about you have a sound, and a lot of bands don't have a sound. They have other bands' sounds. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it comes on, I could be blindfolded and not seeing shit, and I'd go, oh yeah, that's Jerry. Right away. This is a smoking song, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
And the video's killer, and you look great, I like how people like comment, yeah, he grew his hair back way better, cool. It's so funny how people are, right?
Well, I'm really stoked to do the record, and the record's called Brighten, and the first song out is Atone, and it's got a real attitude to it. I haven't done a record in 18, 19 years or whatever, because I've been kind of working with Alice full time again, so it's nice to revisit this, and I had the time, and I started thinking I should do another solo record, and so I started working through that with some really cool people that I knew, and also a good chunk of folks that were introduced to me by my co-producer and neighbor, Tyler Bates, my partner on the record.
Oh, cool.
And, he, Gil Sharon, and I had done a song for the John Wick soundtrack, for the second John Wick, a song called A Job to Do. I was going to do some gigs, and Gil was like, man, we should call Greg. So that's how Greg came into the picture. Joe Barisi brought in Abe Laboriel Jr.
Oh, Abe, wow.
So between the two of those guys, they basically split the record, and Abe is sick, and so is Gil, and they both have two really unique feels. Duff McKagan came in and played bass. I played a little bit of bass myself. Tyler did some strings and some percussion and other things, as well as producing. Michael Rosen on pedal steel. Had a couple of really great keyboard players. Vincent Jones is a hero, man. That dude came in and slayed the record. He was like the last guy to add tracks.
What kind of keys? B3?
All sorts of stuff,
rad.
man. He was doing piano, B3, did string arrangements. He what's that? There's like I think it's called a melodium, where it's kind of like an accordion kind of thing, where he's like kind of pushing.
Oh wow!
It was pretty badass, man. We went down there and to his place and tracked a few things over a couple of days. We had Greg Bichotto on vocals, and Tyler Bates' daughter Lola Bates. She did some backups that were really cool, and Matthias did some strings, and Jordan Lewis, another guy played keys. About 9 or 10 of us, 10,
wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the album. Unfortunately, I've only heard the single.
Yeah.
What is the tone of it? Is there kind of is it a rock and roll, or is it kind of dark like Atone? What is the vibe of it?
In a nutshell, it's a rock and roll record, man.
Oh, that's
cool.
What I
mean? It's a rock and roll record. It's a really fresh and contemporary and me and my friends in the now sounding record. But it also has elements of a lot of my influences and things that I grew up listening to, stuff that we rocked when we were kids, and from it's got some country elements, it's got some rock, it's got some bluesy type stuff. It was really cool to work in particular with Tyler, Vincent, and Jordan, the keyboard players, and Tyler on the strings, and also Michael Rosen on pedal steel. Those are 3 instruments that we've messed around with a little bit and maybe sprinkled in a little bit.
Yeah.
But this record has a real healthy dose of that. So there's some instruments that I haven't really leaned on as much, and it kind of adds to that kind of classic rock and roll kind of vibe.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, all the great bands that I love, other than once we get into the 90s Seattle thing, we're always, Black Crowes didn't get great until the second record in my eyes, once they get the B3 and they get Ed in there.
Yeah.
And then the Stones, when you've got just the incredible horns, and sometimes they would even have Ronnie would play lap steel and pedal steel and all that, and stuff like on Some Girls.
They used a bunch of piano too.
Yeah, Faraway Eyes and all that. That kind of rock and roll. The Faces.
Yeah, Beatles.
Beatles. Oh man,
Beatles used all sorts of instruments.
God, I've been watching that Rick Rubin, Paul McCartney thing.
Everybody's been telling me I need to see that. Yeah,
man, it's unreal to think about songwriting. Like how hard it is. I mean, people don't know how hard it is, you know? And you are like a tunesmith. All for the years, I've like, look at all these tunes, you know. And as soon as I heard Atone, I was like, this guy's just a fucking lifer, you know. It's just got it. Like you look at that Rick Rubin thing, and it's like way Paul McCartney's describing songwriting. He's like, oh yeah, you know, I just learned this weird F chord, and I didn't know it. It's F. I call it F demented, and then he just starts showing you where he's using it all over, you know. But that's a wild thing to think about. You, yeah, awesome. Like the tunings, really change a complete songwriting atmosphere.
Well, you know. That's really interesting that we're talking about that right now, because Atone is in an unusual tuning, and I have recorded a few songs, I think maybe 3 in my career, in this tuning. It's an open tuning, which is basically like kind of like a slide player, open major.
Right, chord, like a Keith Richards.
But it sounds all minor because of the way I'm playing it and where I'm fingering it, and that was that kind of. I remember early on in the process, I was sitting with Tyler and I showed him that, and he's like, "That's cool. We got to record that." And he's like, leave it to you to take a totally major tuned guitar and make it sound minor." Of course, right? And I'm like, well, I guess he's right. But yeah, there's a song. Actually, there's 2 songs I think on the Dog record, "Over Now." And I think a song called "The Nothing Song," and then on Boggy Depot, there's a song called "Heard a Long Time." Those 3 songs are in that particular tuning, and they sound a little bit more major and kind of rock and roll. Right. Tone sounds a little bit more minor and edgy, and it's interesting, and it's because of that tuning that song sounds the way that it does.
Was most of the Alice stuff in drop D? Is that what it was?
Not most, but a good chunk. You know? Right. We always started off. I think it was just because of some of the bands that I liked. You know, Sabbath was not necessarily a 440 band all the time, and I don't even really think Van Halen was either. Like a lot of bands weren't necessarily 440; they just tuned to the guitar player or tuned to whoever.
AC/DC style.
Hey, give me an A. Yeah. You know, like and just go. And it always sounded heavier to me to be like a half step down from 440. So I just kind of gravitated toward that as a guitar player, to have that kind of a heavier element, especially on those big fat low chords. And so as Alice started, we were always a half step down from 440, and I think that kind of gave us a little bit of our tone. And then when you add the drop D to that, and it's basically C sharp, you know. So you just drop that E string down a whole step, and you're down a step and a half from 440. That's definitely part of my sound, and also part of Alice's sound as well. Yeah.
It's totally a sound too. I mean, you know, I mean, you think about Love, Hate, Love or whatever, just how dark and low and grim that sounds. It's just like, oh my God. Here's a question for you, because I've played with many drummers over my lifetime, and you've played mostly with Sean. And then, what was it like when you're in there with like Abe? I mean, Sean's fantastic, but Abe's got a crazy he's like back there vibe, right?
Well, I mean, speaking about the McCartney connection there, that was really interesting to get his take, because he's been playing with Paul for 20 years or so. Yeah. And, you know, everybody's got their, you know, you mentioned the word lifers early on, and I always wanted to be a lifer. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
Same here.
They're birds of the feather, and I love guys that are in it for life, and Abe is one of those guys, and everybody has their own personality and has their own way of going about things. Now, you can put 2 guys together, 2 lifers together, and they could probably jam out some stuff, but sometimes it doesn't blend, because maybe one guy's used to playing forward on the beat, one guy's used to playing back on the beat. It's okay, but it's not real magical, you know what I mean? And in the instance of working on this record, it was really interesting, because I cut the whole record with Gil, and Gil is great. Awesome kind of technical perfection. He's not going to mess up on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can count on the fact that he's going to be there.
Mathematical, one of those guys.
He is, but he's got feel too, and he's very orchestral in the way that he plays. Sean is like Sean's like, you know, he's there's just nobody like that dude, and he's part of my writing and my sound as well as I'm part of his writing and his sound. But
He's like an Adler, you know, like no.
he is, but there's like jazz to him.
Wow.
There's like there's Sean is he's one of the hardest hitting drummers I've ever played with, but at the same time he's got so much taste and in touch and the way that he writes. He doesn't just play drums, he writes, and he doesn't put something there that doesn't need to be there. His cymbal work is sick, you know, it's just the little ghost notes and the cymbal stuff in between the space that he uses as a player. He's very unique, and we're very used to each other, and stepping out of that box, working with Gil, he has his own thing, and he plays on Atone, and it's a very cinematic style of drumming, I guess. Abe's got a little bit more of a thicker pocket, you know, got a little bit more of a sexy groove with some force to it, and Joe Barisi is the one who, you know, I was talking to Joe about mixing the record, and about halfway through, you know, we had a sit down, and he's like, you know what, man, you need another drummer on this. No diss to Gil at all. It's just, I think there should be more of like a 70s record approach where we have certain people for certain songs.
Different flavors.
And it's not necessarily a set band. And that was a great suggestion on his part. He's like, I hear Abe on this song. I hear Abe on this song. I hear Abe on this song. And you know, I thought he was talking about, you know, Abe from, you know,
yeah.
Abe Cunningham.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, Abe's cool. No, Abe Labor. Okay.
Yeah. Now you're like, oh shit, legend.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
Can you get him? He's like, yeah, let me call him up. And he's like, yeah, he's into it. So
wow.
That was deep in the throes of COVID. So it was also unusual because, you know, a lot of the times when you make a record, you're in the room with everybody.
Right.
On this record, we weren't able to do that with everybody. So Abe was kind of holed up in New York, and we were, of course, in LA. So we sent him tracks, and we just started kind of communicating. And hey, you know, he'd send a track. He's like, let me know what you like. I'm like, hey, how about a fill here? And this thing is, and he'd go back and he'd do it, and it was great. But we did a video over the weekend for this next song that's gonna drop here pretty soon. He came down for it, and it was funny because we're standing there, and Vincent and Abe had never met Tyler or Greg or myself, you know, or been in a room with all five of us had never been in a room at the same time.
Right, COVID record.
It's like, hey, we got the band back together for the first time. But it was really fun, man. It was a really organic thing. I gotta give a ton of credit to Paul Figueroa, my longtime writing partner and engineer. On every record. This is our fourth record. We've done three Alice records and this one. And before we ever even see anybody else in the band, Fig and me are in a room for 2 or 3 months. You know,
wow.
It's like putting together ideas, going through old riffs, and like, or just him just sitting there and letting me rip. You know, on the days when I'm completely crabby and I got nothing, like, fuck, I got nothing, man. He's like, fuck it, that's all right, man. Just we'll come up with something. And, you know, an hour or two later, we'll come up with something. I'm like, see, I told you. You know, he's there for the tough times and the good times. And Tyler Bates, you know, between the three of us, we kind of brought this thing home. But it was super organic. You know, Paul brought in Vincent Jones late into the record with the keys. Tyler and myself brought in everybody else except for Abe, who was brought in by Barisi. So it was just a group, friends of friends record. You know?
That's great.
It was really cool. I think that because it was kind of friends of friends, you know what I mean, and it was very super organic. It wasn't there's really no plan other than, hey, let's make a record. Okay, now how do we go about doing it? Okay, who do we want to play on it? Well, let's ask him. Okay, well, he can't make it. He can. Okay, let's go. You know, who do you know? Let me call this dude. You know, it was cool. It's just like being like in a garage band when you're, you know, a teenager and stuff. You know, well, you know, back then it was who's got a car and who's got a PA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's not very good, but he's got a car and he's got a PA.
Yeah, the old David Lee Roth thing. He had a PA, so he got in.
But you know, I think for me it's always a hell of a journey. You know, there's times during every record and every writing session where you're scraping the bottom or you just feel completely lost in the dark. Like, fuck, man, do I got anything fucking left? You know?
Yeah.
Can I do this again?
I get it.
I want to do this again? But that's all part of the thing, is facing up to that sort of fear and also confronting obstacles that might turn you back, and you punch through them.
Yeah.
Like maybe they might even slap you down or knock you down for a short period of time, but then you get back up and you keep at it. It's the one thing in my life that's always been there for me. Like no matter how much I leave it, anytime I pick up that guitar, it's always been there for me. Music's always been there, and it's always been something that I can rely on. It's really the only thing that I never quit in my whole life.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm the same way.
Fuck this, fuck that.
I mean, I quit music, but I stayed in the biz and did comedy. It's like, it's one of those things too. It's the cheesy Godfather 3 line.
It's still part of your life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It sucks me back in.
Just when I thought it was out. Yeah.
That's such a true statement to me.
There's a real beauty to that.
There is.
And it's really rewarding when you go through the process of all of those ups and downs, all of those challenges and rewards, and then come out the other side with, goddamn, I made another record.
Yeah.
And even better, people fucking like it.
The song is fantastic.
That's cool.
Man.
People are digging it. I'm stoked, Yeah.
What did you do? Any kind of different guitar wise? Like, did you play some different guitars this time? Because I know you're either heavily G&L or the Gibson Les Paul stuff. Sure. Did you tap into any different amps and heads and all that, or were you just the straight up? Here's the Jerry vibe.
My sound from very early on, of course, everybody associates me with the G&L, which is the guitar that I kind of started with. But also early on, not too long after I bought those first 2 G&Ls, I got myself a couple of Les Pauls.
Yeah, that one with the crack torch, fires. I love that one, man.
Yeah.
That was, I'll never forget it when I first met you, and I go, I thought it was paint. And you go, actually, I was fucked up on crack and I was just burning it with a torch. I go, that's even more crazy.
I torched it. Yeah, that was done on Gardner in an apartment building out on my little lanai out there, so that I didn't choke myself from the fumes. And the interesting part of that is the old finish on those Gibson Les Pauls was some sort of a cellulose kind of. When you light that shit, it starts running like a Bonanza map. You get lights in the middle and it just goes.
Whoa!
So you got to blow them out. You got to light them and then blow them out. And I did it with each one of those dots. And a couple of them got out of control.
It's great,
but
though.
At least I didn't burn my apartment. But Gibsons have always been a big part of my sound. So the blend of those two, so there's a healthy dose of those, and I would say even more so to the Gibson side. I started partnering with those guys over the last year or two, and we started talking about designing some Les Pauls, and it was really interesting to me. Cesar and JC and Peter Leinheiser and Jenny up in Seattle. Those 4
and Agnesi, he's great.
They're totally. It's just a cool vibe. It was looking a little dicey there at Gibson for a bit, and like oh man, this can't go away. The rumors were that it might just tank, and go under. And a new team came in and. I think it all started with Cesar invited me down to the office there on Sunset, and he's like, "Can you come down, man? I got something for you." And he had made this. He knew I was a big fan of baritone guitars, and I sprinkle those in on a lot of the records that I do for effect and weight, and for a different kind of color. And he had made me this matte black Explorer baritone. It's sick.
Whoa.
It's sick. So that's where it started. And we just started talking about stuff, and then we started designing some guitars out. So today, my friend Eric Bradley over at Guitar Center, we only made 100 of them. I have 4 Les Pauls. One is the Wino, and that's the replica that we made. 100 of those came out today. There's a blue one as well. The white one with the torch job.
You did the torch one too?
No, we didn't do that yet. But I'm just saying the 4 that I have.
Oh,
I got the black one, I got the torch job, I got the blue, and I got the Wino. And so we started with the Wino, and we've got a couple other interesting things in the works for down the line too. But it's a partnership that I look forward to. I've always played Gibson. I'm happy to be part of the family, and I really like what they're doing with the company, and also like that they want to do some really cool stuff with me, like design some cool guitars for people to play. So
what is the history on the Wino? Because I don't remember you playing a Wine Les Paul. I always loved those. But did you have one early on and I'm just not remembering it?
I bought 4. I want to say about 92, 93. from Gibson, and they were those 4 guitars. And
Wow.
so I've rotated those for different records and tours and stuff like that. But yeah, the Wino is a little bit out of the 4. They're all Les Pauls.
Yeah.
They're all the same year. They're all the same model, but they all sound different. Every one of them has a little bit of a different tone, you know. And the Wino to me is a little bit more of a warmer, richer Paul out of the 4. You know, it's got a little bit more of a rounder sound.
Right.
You know.
I noticed, I looked at it, and it had a pickup cover on the neck one, but not on the bridge. Is that right? Or did I?
It's got a pick guard on the.
No, the pickup cover over the pickup.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, that I made a few little tweaks to it.
Right.
Put a different pickup in it. There's like a piezo pickup in the bridge, so you can kind of play it like acoustically as well if you want to go that route. You know, just a couple small tweaks to it.
Right.
And they just kind of made a true version of my guitar as it is now and what I've done, and they did a pretty good job of distressing it exactly like mine is distressed. You know, the dents, the marks, all of that stuff. So I think it's the one out of the 4. Interestingly enough, it's the one out of the 4 that hasn't had its headstock broken off.
Ooh,
all
shit.
3 of them. All 3 of the other ones have had their headstock broken off at least once, maybe
Really?
twice, and then re-glued on.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's always my nightmare. Like,
Interesting story about the white one. I mean, when I was living in that apartment and working and writing Degradation Trip, it fell over one day and the headstock broke. But because of the tension of the strings, it held the stock. You could see the hole through the crack in the neck and the headstock. But it was still together enough that it would stay in tune. I couldn't believe it. It still stayed in tune. So I didn't mess with it until I was done writing that record, which was about 3 or 4 months, and I did it all on that Les Paul. And maybe that might be one we might do a version of in the future as well.
wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever get into the 58, 59, 60s of the Sunburst, the Jimmy
Sure.
Page? Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
Those are my favorite,
Yeah.
especially what Tom Murphy's doing. It's just, I mean, I bought a Murphy, Paul, the first year they did them, like 96.
Okay.
We're only making 50 of these. I
Yep.
lived in San Fran. I
Yeah.
drove to San Diego, got it. Oh my God. And they're still making them, but they're better than ever now.
Yeah.
They got the Murphy Lab and everything, but it's it's such a God guitar, Les Paul.
It is. It's the first guitar I ever wanted. When I was in 8th grade, and my brother and I were fighting like hell, and I think we were having a little bit of tough times financially. My mom had, she raised us 3 kids mostly on her own, and we lived with my grandmother, right? And my brother and I were like fighting like cats and dogs, and she's like, can you take these guys? Because I can't handle them. So she shipped us off to my dad, and he was stationed in Pennsylvania, and that's when I had just gotten into guitar, and a lot of the Jimmy Page and Ace Frehley and many others. Les Paul played a Les Paul, and I just identified with that, and I'm like, that's cool, man. That's the coolest guitar ever. And I wanted one of those, and so like. For Christmas, you had your little Christmas list. You made your list and you put it on your door so your parents could see. And like I want this and blah, 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 blah. And I cut out a picture of a Les Paul and I put it on the paper and I just wrote on the top, this is all I want. This is all I want. Now, leading up to Christmas, a big present showed up under there that was kind of triangular in shape. I'm like, oh my God, he got it for me. He fucking got me a Les Paul. And so like for like a week or whatever it was leading up to Christmas, I thought I was actually getting one. And comes Christmas Day, I open up the shit. It's an acoustic guitar, like a little shitty. And so, my dad's really excited because he got me a guitar. That's what I wanted, but it's not a Les Paul. And I'm like, I was the shitty kid, like, I wanted a Les Paul. And he's like, you get fucking good on that, and I'll buy you a Les Paul, but learn how to fucking play that first.
Wow. Yeah, right. That is the truth too, because those things were big money when we were growing up. We're the same age.
They're still big money.
I know they. Oh yeah. Still
some
big.
of them are huge money.
Some
those ones you're talking about.
Yeah, those are 10 grand.
Yeah.
But worth it if you wanted to get one guitar, and you just kind of wanted to, you know, like the old days, Jimmy, there it is. That's number
Yep.
one. He had number two also, but he also had a wine Les Paul.
He did.
You know, yeah.
He did.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Cornell had a wine Les Paul.
Yeah, Winos are cool, man.
Yeah, they are.
It's a good looking guitar.
Where was that icon shot? I loved it. It looked like a library. Was that your house in Seattle or something?
No, I flew out to Gibson.
Yeah.
We signed. I signed all those 100 guitars, and we did a cool little piece for it. And I think they dropped today. Like I got onto something else, but I was saying my friend Eric Bradley at Guitar Center said we sold our allotment already. It's gone.
Wow.
But there's only 100, so.
So what? That's
Yeah.
still cool. I mean,
Thank you, folks.
How many
I
years
hope,
you in the game? You know.
Rock them well.
Let's get into a little bit about you're going to go out and tour this record.
I am.
And that's going to be in 2022. Who's going to be in the group?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. That's a little bit of a ways away, and everybody in the project has their own band.
Right, yeah.
So, I don't think I'm going to have too much luck getting Duff McKagan. He's got this little side project. You might have heard of it, like Guns N' Roses or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
I think they're going to be big.
He's still pushing to make it with those guys. But yeah, everybody's got their own thing, and
Right.
it was really just kind of a fun family friends of record, and I thank everybody for all the time that they put into it. So when it comes to touring, I'm not quite sure. I know Gil Sharon's in. Gil's probably going to be the drummer, and I know Greg is probably going to be in, and also I believe Tyler is going to try to come out and do that first States run with us too on guitar. So there's 2 or 3 spots open. So
Wow.
You
going keyboards on the run?
I think we're going to have somebody that's a multiplayer. That
Right.
can either do that. Definitely going to need keys. It'd be nice to have somebody that could play a little pedal steel too.
Oh,
But,
yeah, like Queens of the Stone Age
I'm
style.
not sure what Mr. Rosen is up to, but he played the shit out of some pedal steel on this record, and I'd love to have him do some gigs with us.
Yeah, there's guys out there, man, that kill it, you know?
Yeah.
You're out in
That's
Nashville.
a very unique dude that is badass at pedal steel.
Oh, man, that's the hardest instrument.
It's just, every limb is moving. Your feet, your knees, and both hands. Holy shit!
Yeah, and you got like finger picking and stuff,
Yeah.
and I mean,
It's
there's
always blown me away. Those guys. It's like whoa.
there's no part-time pedal steel player. Like you have to dive into
you
it.
have
It's-
to.
It's like
You have
learning a language.
Yep.
You know.
I agree.
Now, you're out in Nashville. A lot of people moved out there during COVID.
Tons of people.
Yeah, we were just talking about like
That's where old rockers go to retire.
they're in Vegas. Yeah, they just blow out there. They're like, there might be one more gig out here.
Vegas and Nashville.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They just like, it's so funny. They're like, dude, Vegas is where it's at. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Nashville's beautiful,
Nashville
man.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
I could imagine having a place there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could live in Vegas.
No.
Vegas is a place to visit.
Yeah.
For me.
Same with me. Same with me. It's like I go there to work.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy that likes extreme heats.
Yep.
Although I was looking at Palm Springs during COVID because I love Palm Springs, and it's a cooker.
I love how big Nashville is in the history of music, and also it's still, you walk down that row and there's a band playing in every bar, and and it's just it's all music all the time, and I dig that, and also the surrounding areas and the neighborhoods are amazing. On the last record, Nick Raskalinich, our producer on the last 3 Alice in Chains records, he lives out there, about a 45 minutes hour out of town. And so we would, while we were staying in Nashville to record part of Rainier Fog, we would drive out through the country and all those cool homes out there.
Oh, yeah.
Farms. It was awesome.
Yeah, and they're
Awesome.
big and huge,
Yeah.
and they're like
Awesome.
400,000.
Yeah. They're a little
Well, they're
bit
getting
more
up
now.
there. Yeah, they're
a
getting
little
up
bit
there
more
now.
but
700, but
But it's nice. I got a little Okie in me, so I felt comfortable. I could be comfortable out there.
Yeah. What do you think after 2022? What's happening with Alice in Chains right now?
We're talking about doing some gigs in 2022 as well.
Oh, great.
So we're just trying to figure it out, I think we wanted to just err on the side of caution rather than push it, and I wanted to do that with my record too. So we thought we would just wait till 2022. So from March to May, we're planning on doing a states run for the Brighten tour on my record, and hopefully, COVID willing, maybe a little jaunt over to Europe.
Rad.
And then maybe toward the end of summer, fall, maybe Alice is talking about doing some shows with maybe some other bands as well. So,
wow, that'll be cool as shit.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Mm-hmm. How great is Mike Inez, huh?
He's great.
Dude, that guy, he reminds me of me. Like no matter what gig we're doing, this is great. I know, right? You know, he did the Bon Scott thing and holy shit, he laid it down. He brought down Mike Anthony's Fair Warning.
He was prepping up for that just like he preps up for everything else.
Yeah.
He's badass.
What a great dude,
and he's
man.
just a great dude. You're right. Yeah.
Still got the Corvette?
I still got it. Still got them both, actually.
Oh, you got two?
Yeah, I bought two in '94.
Whoa. I only saw one when I was
at came back from the Dirt Tour. I bought the red 67 427 tri-power and a 1963 split window coupe.
Oh, you got a split window?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Hard tops in Seattle where it rains and the convertibles down
here.
Yeah.
You were just in Seattle. You came here to shoot the video, right?
Yeah, I was up there most of the summer. It was great being home for a whole summer that's usually when I'm working.
Yeah.
And the last time I'd spent a summer up there, not on the road, was when we were making Rain or Fog. We were up there for that whole summer before we put that record out too.
Let's talk a little bit about the video, Atone. It looks fantastic, and it's funny. You know, you think back to the old days of video budgets, like, okay, you got $1 million for the video, and then we're gonna, but how are videos done now? Is it a couple of cool dudes with some drones and stuff? And
I think it's like everything else. Everybody's had to adjust. Like you said, the money isn't, the ways that you used to earn money are very narrowed. And I think in the film industry, it's the same. You got streaming stuff and the costs of everything have dropped, and the people have gotta compete. So, what might have cost you $100,000 before, you could probably get away with about 15 or 20. And that's great. That's good because you can make some really creative things for a reasonable amount of money. What it really comes down to is finding people that care about it and have a vision to go along with yours, and that you can work with. The way that whole video came about was Greg Puciato, who sings on the record, and we've become really good friends over the last couple of years. He turned me on to a friend of his is a visual artist, Jesse Draxler. So Jesse and Greg introduced me to Jim Laveau and his partner, Tony Aguilera. And we all came over to the kitchen, and I just started kind of telling them what I was thinking and what I was feeling about the song. And I, had kind of a man with no name vibe to it.
Yeah.
I felt like it needed to be kind of in the desert and
good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It kind of had a little bit of elements of that, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So look, we're in Phoenix, so we can shoot there. We'll do like the inside stuff there, and maybe some outside stuff too. But then maybe the Joshua Tree, and Salton Sea. And so we started planning all this stuff out. Before we knew it, we had planned 3 days of shoots, which had in 3 different locations, which turned into actually 4, because the very first day was Joshua Tree National Forest. So we went out there, kind of a windy day, and like a couple shots in that video, I lose my hat.
Just guerrilla shots?
One time I caught it, just guerrilla shots.
All right.
We were a guerrilla. There's no trailers, none of that.
Rad.
We just rolled up in our cars and we just shot,
Yeah.
And these guys were badass like that. So, Jim was directing and Tony was kind of like manning the cameras and stuff like that. Greg and Jesse were also doing some really cool shooting and directing as well. And we finished that shot maybe like mid-afternoon to sunset in Joshua Tree. And like I say, it was really windy. And of course, like, when the guy sets you up for the cool looking shot, it's always with the wind at your back while you're wearing a fucking hat. I'm like, Jim, this thing's going to blow off my head. He's like, well, just do the best you can, man, because you got the rocks behind you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. So, and we did. We got 2 great shots out of that. One, the hat blew off my head and I caught it in my hand somehow. And the other one was They were doing a drone shot. They whipped out the drone, and I was kind of like, all right, cool. We're going to do the big rock shot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to stand on top of the mountain with my hair fucking blonde.
So cool.
So I'm walking down the street or down the dirt road, and they're doing a couple of drone passes on me, and a big gust comes and blows a hat off my head just as the drone's coming in. And they're way around the corner. I can't see them because they're out of the shot, right? And I'm hoping they can hear me, because as soon as my hat hits the ground, it just starts rolling. And it just keeps rolling, and it just keeps going down the road, and it just keeps going. And I'm like, shoot the hat! Shoot the hat! I was like, get down on it. I wish they would have got down to but I don't think they heard me to get low enough.
Right.
I still got that shot. It was like one of those just accidental, happy accidents. That fucking hat rolled down that road like a quarter mile, and it just on its side. I tried to repeat it after that. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. We even tried to just get it rolling. Wouldn't do it. It was just kind of a natural, happy accident. So finished that shoot that night. Greg, Jesse, and myself jumped in my car, drove to Phoenix that night. So we were going to try to get in Salton Sea on the way to Phoenix, but we ran out of light.
Right.
So, okay, we got to get that on the way back. Drove to Phoenix that night, checked into a hotel, shot the next day, drove back to LA a couple days later and did the Salton Sea stuff, and then finished in LA with the live stuff with the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
4-day shoot. We brought that in for a really reasonable number.
That's so great. Yeah. Now you got a new video. What's the song?
Brighten.
Brighten.
Title track.
A title track. Yeah. And it's a full band. Is it just in a studio, just rocking in a...
It's on location. It's got a little bit of a story to it as well. Working with a really talented guy named Gilbert Trejo, who I also met through Tyler Bates. And he's Danny Trejo's son.
Wow.
Yeah, really talented, energetic, really positive vibe dude. And he wrote up a treatment that was really cool. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what I intended the song to write about, but they fit together really well. And that's the cool thing about film and music.
Of course.
They can blend and create moods and things that don't necessarily need to be completely linear, And he wrote this story that blended really nicely. It made a lot of sense, and he took some chances, and we brought it in. So the first day, the band was on that song, Abe Laboriel Jr. on drums. Duff played bass, but he's on tour with Guns, so Tyler filled down on bass. My partner and producer on this record, Tyler Bates. Greg Pichotto on vocals, and Vincent Jones on keys. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and when's that coming out?
Should drop here pretty quick.
And then when's the record out?
The record's going to drop October 29th.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it, man. It's I'm just so happy that we became friends, man.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, the history all the way back to the Omni and Alice in Chains, Mookie Blaylock. That's just so long ago.
I always loved that you loved AC/DC so much, and you sound so badass when you're singing it.
Oh man. We're trying to do
it's my favorite rock and roll band of all time.
Oh, how sick is that band? I mean, how sick is that band?
It's so great. It's so perfect. I heard a song yesterday. I heard a song the day before, and I just had a moment. Had a moment that I had the same moment that I had when I was a kid, but in the view of where I am and what I do now, and like nobody's ever going to do that again.
Nope.
Nobody can do that again, and that is badass.
I know.
And that's what you're shooting for. You talked about having a particular sound or a fingerprint or an identifiable, like by beat 1 or beat 2, I know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
And that's everybody's goal. I'm glad I got there with my bros, and we have a thing. And
oh man,
it's nice to have that on your own as well. As a guitar player.
I just love that. I could hear Alice in Chains any time of the day. I listen to that grunge channel a lot on
Lithium.
Yeah. And man, it just comes on, and I'm like, I just go straight to the volume. Oh yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, it's unreal how it's the soundtrack of like a big part of my life, and just big memories of like opening Lollapalooza with Rooster and this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
It just hits me when I hear a song. I go, I remember when they played this one. And man, I can't thank you enough for doing the show again, taking me out on tour, and being friends. You got to come down and hang at the store, man.
I'm down.
All right, that'd be great.
Yeah,
come down, see some comedy.
I love comedy, man.
I know.
You know I'm a huge fan of that. So.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
See you soon.
All right. Well, thanks for doing the show. Get this record. And I guess, try to get one of his guitars. They might be sold out completely. There's only 100, but you can watch a great video on him on YouTube called Jerry Cantrell Wino. They shot a great video of you signing and stuff. And then somebody goes, you watch his Icon? I go, nah, man. I fucking did my own Icon, 3 hours with him. Go listen to my Icon. That was so funny. Oh, man. But it was a great episode of the Icon also, man.
Oh, yeah.
And you're in a great group there, fucking Tony Iommi.
Bob Rock.
Yeah, but it's great. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Right, good to see you, Dean.
Are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram, Jerry Cantrell.
Oh yeah, I follow you. What I'm saying?
Mark, dude, come on.
Oh no, I know. Have you had it? My favorite was like last year when you were.
I never thought I would be, but I tried it out a few years ago, and it's actually not too bad. Kind of fun keeping up with everybody, and I'm okay with it now.
I remember
That's about as far as I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm going to start tweeting or anything like that, but I might post in a picture and a little wisecrack. I can do that.
Well, I remember you were going through the rattlesnake era at your house, man. It was like, oh, here's another rattlesnake at the house.
Like I had to call Slash and get a snake wrangler to come relocate that guy. He's hopefully still living somewhere in the mountains around there.
Had any snakes lately?
I had a new rattler show up about a couple of months ago when I was up in Seattle.
Oh, shit, up there, huh?
I think Andy called the same guy. Yeah.
Same guy?
Yeah, well, he's the guy that used to take care of Slash's snakes.
Right.
And now he works at the LA Zoo in the snake department, of course.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much, dude.
All right, dude. Good
Great to see you. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Don't forget to subscribe and go out and get Jerry's new record here, October what?
October 29th, Brighten.
There you guys go. Thank you for tuning in.